Well, hello, old friends. You know, I think I have just enough temerity left to me after all this time to venture that if you're looking at this right now, you must have some abiding interest in poetry and in poets. Else you'd be watching something else right now, wouldn't you? So I hope you don't mind if I prepare to recite you a poem called Do I Dare to Eat a Peach? After T.S. Eliot, of course, that title. But first I need to set it up with a bit of a preamble. So here goes. Last Christmas, I was gifted with this book, Leonard Cohen, Untold Stories, The Early Years by Michael Posner. And, well, along about page 242 here, it makes mention of the fact that Mr. Cohen, who was already a legendary figure, used to revisit the McGill campus in Montreal, where he had been an undergraduate years before, and sometimes he would lecture or read poetry or bring his guitar and sing songs. And I'd like to imagine one of these gatherings taking place on the steps of the Arts Building on the McGill campus. And let's take it back and imagine it's 1973 all over again. Yeah, a lovely spring day, and I, Peter Paul Van Camp, am just about to turn 20 years of age, having only recently begun my own career as a recitalist in the greater Montreal area. And I wonder if I would have had the unmitigated gall to approach this worshipful gathering and address Mr. Cohen as follows. And here's what I wonder if I might have said these words. Do I dare to eat a peach? I wonder, Mr. Cohen, could I borrow your crowd? I'd admire to regale them if it were to be allowed. I shouldn't keep 'em very long. I'd hope to leave 'em wowed. And I wonder, Mr. Cohen, he wonders, Mr. Cohen, I do wonder, Mr. Cohen, could I borrow your crowd? Now, initially, I was content to leave it right there and go on, resume reading the book. Whoops, there's the front of it. I was quite enjoying it. But then a friend got a look at what I had already written, and he suggested that I might accost other poets out of the past with a similar question and see what they might say. And I thought about it a moment and said, what do you mean like this? And thus, beg pardon, Mr. Coleridge, would I be an albatross if I hung about your gathering here and hankered for applause? Or, I've tiptoed in, Miss Dickinson. I know you like things quiet, but if I were to contribute, do you feel your friends would buy it? Then what would Sandburg say, or Shelley? How would Gertrude Stein respond? Likewise Blake or Ferlinghetti, would they beckon from beyond? What of Wordsworth, wandering lonely? Might he hearken, did I call? Would Lord Tennyson say anything? Anything at all? And now, good gracious, Mr. Ginsberg, 'twould make my day complete, should you acquiesce to letting me sit in amongst the beats, for I too can go it lively, snapping fingers, that's my meat. And so, good gracious, Mr. Ginsberg, good gracious, Mr. Ginsberg, be spacious, Mr. Ginsberg, spacious, Mr. Ginsberg, leave us face it, Mr. Ginsberg, I'm loquacious, Mr. Ginsberg, and audacious, Mr. Ginsberg. All you beatniks kindly take a seat. And make it snappy, please. All right. Mr. Cohen, Mr. Coleridge, Miss Dickinson, Mr. Ginsberg, and all you others briefly mentioned, what say you? Durst I stand and speak? Well, it's a fair question, isn't it? I'll leave you to ponder that.